Is there always a next thing? Are you always supposed to be wanting more? What happens if you're just simply good with where your business is at and you're not looking to grow it? Hi, welcome to another episode of Business Mindset Mastery. My name's Heather Gray. I'm a mindset and performance coach for business owners, leaders, and entrepreneurs. And you can always find me at choosetohaveitall.com. And today we're diving into what I call the entrepreneurial Kool-Aid. Try saying that one 5 times fast. It's this idea that when you're in the entrepreneurial space and you're talking to other business owners, there's these set of common beliefs that everybody talks about. You're always expected to have it. And if you don't have it, there must be something wrong with you. And this is where today's listener's question comes from. So let's just dive right in. Heather, I'm really glad you had a listener write in from social media marketing world, because her question prompted me to write into you as well. This conference has been just great. I've loved networking and connecting with people. I've got some great ideas too on how I can improve the efficiency in my business. Yay for automation. Yeah, that's great. In many of the talks and connections I've made, I was proud that I could say I built a full-time business helping busy single moms with meal planning. People loved my ideas, were inspired by my story, etc. Something keeps bugging me though. So many people kept asking me what I planned to do next. How would I scale? What were my plans for growth? Heather, I just want a full-time business that supports myself and my kids. I have more than achieved that. What's the push for more? Am I supposed to want more? What happened to good is enough? Anytime I tell people I'm happy with what I've got, they tell me I have a mindset problem, that I'm afraid of money or something. I'm not sure any of that is true, but I was wondering, as a mindset person, what you might think. Thanks so much. Oh my goodness. Yes, every single time you get around entrepreneurs and business owners, everybody's going to start asking you, what's the next big thing? What are you working on? What have you got? What have you been thinking? Where are you struggling? Those are the types of conversations that people will have when you're talking to other business owners. So in a 3-day conference, I'm sure you found that a lot. And I totally agree with you that very seldom do business owners allow themselves the luxury, give themselves permission to just simply stand still for a bit. There is pressure to always look for what's next, to get the next greatest product or service out there, to think about things with more efficiency, to stop trading dollars for hours and that kind of stuff. It's not surprising to me that you face those questions, and I understand where you're coming from. This idea that you have already built something pretty great, and when somebody says what's next, it sort of a little bit implies that where you're at isn't good enough. And of course you feel defensive of that. Of course you want to explain to people that you have a life you really love and a business you're proud of, and that good really is enough. And if good really is enough for you where you're at, your full-time income, then I applaud you and I tell you, yes, go forth in peace, right? like go and do your thing and run your business and just do you, and don't defend yourself to anyone. Don't feel like you have to explain it. Tell people what you want them to think, and then just let it go. Say, yes, I love my business as it is. No, I'm not looking to grow or scale at the current time. I just want to enjoy the time I've made for myself and my kids, and I just want to be happy. And then go and toot your own horn and do your own thing. But here's the thing, sister friend. People who don't want to grow their businesses, people who don't want to scale or go bigger or go further or see what's popping out around the corner, those people don't go to social media marketing world, my friend. That's why people made the assumption about you that you were looking to grow and scale your business. Because people who are really good where they're at don't invest $1,500 to learn how to stand still in doing what they're doing. They already know how to do what they're doing. Why do they need to learn something else? They're not looking to grow. They're not looking to build. They're not looking to scale. Here's what I read in your question. You can't believe you got this far. that at some point in time as a single mom, you were juggling the meal planning thing. You were probably stuck in a 9-to-5 that was telling you that if your kids needed a mom supervisor for the day, it wasn't going to get to be you. You decided to screw that. You came up with an idea, you ran with it, and it became successful, and you don't quite know how you got here. That sounds like the story of an accidental success. That on a wing and a prayer, you put two sticks together, rubbed, you created a spark, and something grew into something amazing. And you can't believe you got this far. I'm sure it's hard to imagine wanting more. I'm sure it's hard and must feel selfish and personally challenging to think that you could go bigger and you could go bolder and you could go and ask for more. I don't think you have a mindset problem. I think you're already badass. You already had a dream, a wish, a prayer. You figured out what you needed to do. You rolled it out to the universe and you made it happen for you. No, I don't think you're afraid of making money. No, I don't think you're afraid of being successful, but I do think you've come to a fork in the road where you just don't know what's next. And you think you're supposed to, because your success has gotten you this far, you should know the rest of the way. And that isn't a mindset problem. That doesn't mean you're afraid of making money. You have made a shit ton of money already. What it does mean is that you were not used to being successful and you're not sure what you should do next. It doesn't mean you're afraid. It doesn't mean that you feel like you're an imposter. You don't have to get into any more of the other entrepreneurial Kool-Aid flavors that exist before you decide to see what might be next and right for you. Now, I know I just threw a pile of presumptions your way, and I made a bunch of assumptions about you and your story simply because you made a large investment. But if you were really good, if you were happy and content with where you were at, I just don't think you'd be writing to me. And I don't think you'd be going to social media marketing world because you would be good. You'd have built a life that made you content. You'd be happy that you could take care of your kids, proud of yourself, and you'd just be going on your merry way. The idea that you're stopping to ask this question speaks to your strength to me. It speaks to the idea that maybe there is more for you and you just don't know because you can't believe you got this far. And it's okay not to know. Not knowing doesn't mean you're not a real business owner. Not knowing doesn't mean that you're not ready to grow and scale or that there's something wrong with you or you're a fraud and people are going to find you out. Not knowing simply means you haven't sat down to make a plan yet. And not knowing means you just haven't made a decision. So yes, you might absolutely positively be good with where you're at. And if you are, go. Go and be good. Go and be happy. But if you are on the off chance thinking that there might be something more for you, that there might be newer, bolder ways of helping single moms deal with meal planning, that there may be another way that you can make an impact and income, just stop for a minute and indulge me, please. I want you to walk yourself through an exercise, just on the off chance that you learn something new about yourself. I want you to look at the skill set of every single thing you've had to learn to get this far. Catalog money you've invested in learning, people you've had to hire, courses you've taken, freebie content that you've consumed and learned and taken action on, things you've had to Google. A good way to do this, actually, I've done this myself before when I've had moments where I've lost confidence in my abilities, is just go and look at your Google search history and see all of the things that at some point you didn't know that you figured out. And then I want you to start to think about the different ideas that crossed your mind and crossed your path that you kind of ruled out at one point. This fleeing thought that kind of popped up like a gnat in your eye line where you're like, no, I couldn't do that, or it would take too much time, or I don't really know how. And see if any of the passing ideas and fancies sticks. Does it land? If you go and grab it, are you able to really hold on to it and see it? and see what sort of ideas have you let go of or have you let pass simply because you didn't know how you would do it, or because you were afraid that it would mean giving up time with your kids, or you weren't confident in your ability to do it. Because not knowing things and having moments where you lack confidence is not a reason not to do it. And it's certainly not a reason to play small or tell yourself a story that good is enough if it really isn't for you. If it's really not enough for you, we have to get you to own that and to recognize that it's okay not to know the next step. That business owners are not born knowing all of the steps in the order that they're supposed to do them. And look at that list of things in front of you that you have figured out, that you have solved, that you have charted a course for, that you have figured out and delivered and been able to build a full-time income on. See yourself as capable and be honest with yourself. What was the investment in social media marketing world really about for you? What little girl daydream that you didn't dare say out loud popped up? It doesn't mean you have a mindset problem. It just means that this is a new stage of business and you haven't yet fully arrived into it yet. And that's okay. But what happens when you give yourself permission to be curious, to try to find out, and to learn more? What do you learn about yourself? What comes to mind? What opportunities pass your eye line that you do want to stop and see and consider? What sort of visions, daydreams, passions start to emerge? If you get curious and nothing comes up, then you really are good with what you've got, and good on you, because you have a business that supports you and your family. But if you do have daydreams, if you do think about wanting more, what happens when you give yourself the same permission you gave to yourself when you started this business? To not know, to be curious, and to find out. Because at some point, when you had an idea to help single moms with meal planning, there was a pile of stuff you did not know how to do. You weren't born knowing it. No business owner is. You figured it out. And if you have a new dream or a new vision, the new product, the new service, anything that you're bold enough to daydream for, you can accomplish using the same skill set you used to build your business. It's a story you might be telling yourself that you can't, that at some point of success, you're supposed to know things. And if you don't know those things, you should just stop. If you're telling yourself any kind of story similar to that, that's what we need to quiet down. That's what we need to shut down in its place and see if we can make room for a new dream for you. I really do think you're ready for the next step. You just don't know what that's supposed to be, and that's okay. The answer, be curious with yourself. Look at your ideas. Talk to your current clients if you want to. They're an awesome resource that if you do decide you might be ready for more and you don't know just what you should be doing, talk to them. Ask them, hey, if I came up with anything new to offer you guys, what would you want? What would be helpful? What would interest you? What would, make your life and meal planning times easier? And see what they come up with. Just poke around a little bit in a way that you can just be confident and comfortable in without diagnosing yourself with a mindset problem. Because somebody who has taken this much action, has taken this number of steps, and has made this kind of investment in themselves, it is my story about you, my friend, that you are not done yet. You are not done yet. And I can't wait to hear what happens next with this. I really do hope that you didn't give me enough information. I totally tried to Google stalk you and find you on social media or something so that I could track you down to see what you're doing and how you're doing it, but I didn't get enough information to figure that out. But I want to hear how this story ends. I want to hear if you really do find for yourself that you're good with where you're at, or if you are thinking about growing, what you end up doing with it. The flip side of doing a podcast based on questions questions is sometimes I don't get to know the ending to the story, and I would really, really like to know the ending to this one. Thanks so much for writing in. This is a really good question. And to anybody listening, the best podcast episodes always do come from the best questions. So please let your vulnerability guard down, put your armor down, reach out, ask me a question, grab my 2 cents, and I'll help you find your way with whatever you're struggling with. Thanks so much for listening. You can find me with your questions at heather@choosetohaveitall.com. I'm so psyched to have been able to talk to you today. I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow. Bye for now.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.